Hi everybody. We're about to celebrate Lag B-Omer, the 33rd day of the Omer. It's a very, very festive day. Those of you that will have the privilege of being in Eretz Yisrael, perhaps will go to Meron in the Galil, and you'll see literally hundreds of thousands of people that are celebrating. What's a little less known is what is the special festive nature of Lag B-Omer, the 33rd day of the Omer. Why do we make it a day of Simcha? For most of the period of the Omer, we have certain mourning restrictions. We don't make weddings, we don't listen to music, we don't get haircuts or shave. But Lag B-Omer is the hiatus in which all of this is permitted, because the sadness of the Omer period is replaced by really remarkable expressions of joy. Why is this so? And there are two different reasons that are given, and I think this highlights two different perspectives on the counting of the Omer generally. Reason number one is we have a tradition. On the 33rd day of the Omer was the death of the great scholar, the great student of Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Now you might be wondering, well, if that's the day that he died, why should that be a great day of celebration? And the commentaries explain that on the day that he died, he revealed to his disciples the great mystical secrets of creation and God's relationship to the cosmos that are embodied in the book that is known as the Zohar. And since the day of his death was the day of great revelation, great holiness, great sanctity, the revelation of the deepest secrets of the Torah that were brought into the earth, to the world, that is a cause for great, great celebration. That is the first aspect of it. The second reason that's given is almost the opposite. That during the period of the Omer, the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva perished in a plague. And the Talmud explains, because they did not show proper respect for each other. And therefore they were not deserving of transmitting the Torah to the next generation. But on Lag B-Omer, the Magefa, the plague, stopped. And therefore we are celebrating the fact that the students of Rabbi Akiva stopped dying. So it's kind of paradoxical, because one aspect of the joy of Lag B-Omer is the death of a uniquely righteous individual who in the process of his death revealed the deepest mysteries of the Torah. The other aspect is the fact that the other students stopped dying on Lag B-Omer, so an awful plague was averted, or at least temporarily stopped. I'd like to suggest that this really highlights two different aspects of Sfiras HaOmer generally. We know that we count the 49 days between Pesach and Shavuos because Pesach celebrates freedom and Shavuos celebrates Matan Torah and submission to God. And by linking them together, we are really affirming in our own lives that freedom without responsibility, liberty without submission to the higher divine law, is worthless and destructive. And it is only when you take the season of freedom and you unify it with Torah does freedom become significant. That is why the Talmud tells us that on Pesach, the sacrifice that was brought was barley, which is animal fodder. On Shavuos, the sacrifice that was brought was wheat, which is human food. Because as we go from Pesach to Shavuos, we go from animal freedom to human dignity and liberty. And thus, one aspect of Sfira is recognizing the primacy of Torah and mitzvahs and submission to God. That is exemplified in the life of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The Talmud tells us that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was so devoted to the study of Torah that he actually took the fairly extreme position, which we don't follow halacha, that one should not work, one should not engage in a living. He could not perceive of removing himself from Torah study even one single second. Indeed, for 12 years he lived in a cave, and he studied and he taught. And the ravens brought him meat, and there was miraculous trees that produced fruit, and streams of water. And he took the position that Avodas Hashem, service of God, is so all-encompassing. There is no room at all for anything else. And this is certainly a role model for how we prepare ourselves, although not to the same degree as he, for accepting the Torah. But there's another side, which we see in the deaths of Rabbi Akiva's students. The Talmud tells us, as I mentioned before, that Rabbi Akiva's students died because they did not show proper respect and honor to each other. Rabbi Shimshon Raphael Hirsch tells us that kavod, honor, comes from the same word as weightiness or heavy. Showing somebody kavod means you look at the other person and you see them as significant, you see them as worthy, you see them as having something to offer the world. You see their chashivos and their value. And thus, when we commemorate the deaths of Rabbi Akiva's students and when we celebrate the fact that they stopped dying on Lag BaOmer, we are resolving in our own lives to see the other with dignity and with respect and with value. So, the two sides of the Omer is, on one hand, to follow Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and intensify our divine service with passion and commitment. And the other side of Lag BaOmer is to try to rectify the idea of not seeing the other with respect. On one level, these are contradictions, because sometimes it happens in life as we get more passionate and more strong in our divine service. We tend to look at others who perhaps are not as committed as us with a sense of disrespect. They don't matter. They're not so important. And conversely, sometimes when I look at others in a favorable eye, I'm okay, you're okay. It might be because I myself am weak in my own religious commitments. So everything's fine. The Omer and Lag BaOmer basically says, you got to take these two ideas and integrate them and work with them together. Passion, enthusiasm, and zeal in Torah study and mitzvos to grow stronger every day. And at the same time, look at others with respect, see their dignity, do not disparage them, love them, cherish them, treat them with dignity. Only when these two ideas are unified together, passionate service of God and understanding, forgiving tolerance of the weaknesses of others and seeing their good side, do we become worthy to stand at the foot of Mount Sinai and we accept God's Torah once again. Thank you.